Welcome back to our 40K Book Club. I'm Decurio Omhar, and today I'm joined by Decurio Chamlan and a special guest, Leonodas. Say hi, Leonodas.
Lou.
We will be reviewing For the Emperor by Sandy Mitchell, the first full-length novel featuring the beloved character Ciaphis Cain. Before we get into this, though, if you like what we do, please consider joining our Patreon. In addition to getting to see our episodes 2 days early, you also get access to some of our bonus content and a chance to vote on what topic we cover next on our lorecasts. Link in the description below. Now, Leonodas, what were your expectations about the book before you read it, and did it meet those expectations?
I guess I always heard that the book was a bit more lighthearted for 40K stuff, and it certainly met that regard. Kane was always told me to be a pretty fun character, and I have to agree on that regard. Uh, yeah,
So it would safe to say that it did meet those expectations.
yeah.
Okay, Chamlin.
Yeah, I mean, I read this ages ago. This was probably I didn't read Gaunt's Ghost first. I read Eisenhorn first, and then I think I read the first Kane omnibus was like the second big omnibus that I read. And Mitchell, there's a scale of grimdark. All right, you've got like dead men walking on one far side of like this is just bad because it's stupid, and then you've got Mitchell where it's like I'm not entirely certain if this is in 40K, other than like it feels like it's the satirical tone. If you've ever looked at like second edition Rogue Trader, you can tell that there's satire here, and they're just making fun of it. This Mitchell's always taken the setting for what it is, kind of
Mm.
like a lighthearted, what's going on here kind of thing. And as I've aged, I've appreciated Mitchell more and more because a lot of 40K is just it sniffs its own farts, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no other way to put it.
I
It sniffs its own
yeah,
farts.
yeah.
It's just up its own butt.
It likes
Up its
it
own
likes the
mustard.
smell of that stank.
But Mitchell's just like, yeah, but they're still people.
Yeah.
People at the end of the day are always consistently going to be people.
Mm. Mm. Prior to reading it for the first time, I knew going into it, this book was going to be funny, and like anything 40K novels had ever brought to the table, much as what has already been said. In this regard, it did meet the expectation, adding to an air of humor and adventure not usually seen in this genre, which is always a fresh thing to hear, see it. All right. Chamlin, let's do you next on this one. What did you like best about the book, and what did you like least?
I, as I've said, this is like the second thing that I really started to get into 40K with. Um, and at the time, I don't think I appreciated it as much as I do now. But Kane and Amberly's relationship developing in this book is so utterly refreshing in a mountain of 40K books that can't write a relationship to save their throne damned life. And or relationships that end up tragic because Abnett can't write a relationship to save his life. And come at me. I don't care. I'm not wrong. I'm not. Except for the one exception that they say is in the Double Eagle book. It's like, that doesn't count. You don't get to have one exception that proves the rule. Thanks. Other than that, he writes tragic relationships. That's how he does. It's not satisfying. Mitchell, on the other hand, writes Kane and Amberley is just like, yeah, these two people saw each other. They're interested in each other. They now date sporadically. Um, Another piece of literature that you could equate this to, as I've read more, is you can equate this essentially to Yennefer and Geralt's relationship.
Mm.
It's almost like pound for pound. Yennefer is a lot like Amberly. She's not as mean as she's meaner than Amberly, but just in the way that she treats her relationship. It's like, well, when they're around each other, they're together, and then they kind of go off and do their own thing, whatever. And Kane is a lot like Geralt, where he doesn't want to get into the middle of this stuff, but he does care about their paramour. And then when they're not around the paramour, it's kind of free game. And that's just how it works out. Is terrifically refreshing for it to not just be this tragic teenage drama level nonsense where it's like one of these people is going to die or I remember one relationship that made me the most mad is that there's the doctor and the assassin's relationship in Ravenor
Yeah.
where he's like, I can't be with you because you got touched by chaos. It's like that wasn't even her fault in any way, shape, or form. Her teammate like just like poked her in the face, and then it's because it's a whole thing. And
Yeah, yeah, non-consensual cure of cancer.
yes, yeah, it's like,
It's like, how dare you cure me of cancer with the forces of chaos?
well, she didn't do.
Was it radiation
No,
sickness? I can't
she
remember what it
got
was.
radiation poisoning from that. She had cancer. That's really not the doctor. And then she found out that he was possessed. And then he like poked her in the face, like, I'm gonna fix it. It'll be okay. And it's like, well, you're a douche. And the doctor's like, that's not fair. And Abnett can't write a relationship to save his
Yeah,
life.
it's tragic,
The man's
really.
married and he can't write a relationship to save his
Truly
life.
tragic. The characters, that is. All right, what'd you like least?
uh, I so there's got to be a British equivalent to Vietnam, right? I'm assuming YouTube probably. Just follow me.
Yeah, okay.
I'm assuming that there is. You two are military folks,
I mean, nothing's coming to mind.
right?
The
Other than like the occupation of India.
No, I think like with the thing with the Zulu, that was like a whole thing. But like in the end, they won that.
Anyways, this felt like a Vietnam novel.
Hmm.
It is though. Think about it. Occupying force has well integrated itself into the society, and the Imperium comes back into it. The tower already Asian coded. They demonstrably are Asian coded. It just felt like a Vietnam novel where like you guys are in occupied territory, but like these people don't care. And then there's also the gene stealer thing, but that's the ancillary to the whole thing. Mitchell has this habit of having two enemy factions in a thing, but I at least wanted to see more of this. Like, but
I mean, I think it worked for this book specifically, but like, yeah, I see where you're coming from, having read more than one of his books before. All right.
almost every one of Mitchell's books is it looks like this, but it's actually this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You notice. What'd you like best about the book?
I really like a lot of the characters in it. Kane himself was just a delight the whole way through. Um, it was like all the guards when they gets kind of stuck up with the suicide mission. They're all pretty fun. Even the sniper.
Yeah, no, he
Social Mass, I think.
But
yeah.
You can just say the same.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
the sociopathic sniper character who does nothing wrong. Basically, the whole he gets into one fight. Something happens. He kills a guy, and from that point on, Kane's like, this guy's going to cause a bunch of problems, and he never causes a single problem.
He actually solves like three.
Yeah, he's a hero the whole way through, and I was pretty disappointed that guy got. It was like, ah man,
Uh-huh.
I think I figured he was gonna like hang out with him. I was like, nope, blasted. Um, I like the all the kind of before everything kind of goes to crap. We kind of exploring like how Tower infiltrated this place. That all seemed kind of interesting. Um, some of the, this is one of the only books I've ever seen that has the trope where it cuts out to someone else reading a thing. I usually hate that trope. And it might be because I was doing the audiobook for it, and that may have addressed some of it, or just may have been how it was written in the first place. But I didn't. It was actually pretty nice the way this one did it because it was mostly like correcting him on nonsense he said versus just like, "Oh, what's that, Grandpa? Why is this happening?" It's like I don't like that stuff very much.
Yeah,
But
no.
this one did that really well. Where it's just like, and that was nonsense what he just said.
This is technically correct, but he didn't understand this other thing was actually
Yeah, for those that weren't reading along with us, so basically in the audio version of it, it has an actor, voice actor for Ciaphis Cain, Amberly Vale, as well as Janet Sula. But it's Janet Sula when she's an older woman. But they do a very compare and contrast thing there, and I enjoyed it as well. But following that, what'd you like least?
Um, to be honest, once they went underground, and it's not that I hated it. It's just like it's a lot less interesting once they go to do the suicide mission.
Hmm.
It's just sort of like things are kind of happening, but there's a lot less fun stuff going on. It's just like, well, it's dark, but I'm good in the dark because I was grew up in the underground. It's dark, stuff happens, and everything happens eventually. It's once they get out of that, it gets pretty interesting again. But
yeah.
I
that's my favorite part of it. Yeah,
There's a good point to raise on at least when I originally read Ciaphas Cain, I was like, this guy's Bruce Campbell.
yeah,
He's so Bruce Campbell because I didn't know about Blackadder before this. Like it is Blackadder, but like if you're an American, Kane is Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
In anything Bruce Campbell is in, generally speaking, after Evil Dead, it's Bruce Campbell. But also on top of the voices, I always imagine Amberly's voice is a bit deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, the whole thing with the singing bit, I was surprised it was not lower as well.
I just remember speaking voice. I always imagined it as deeper, but I guess I probably imagine Inquisitors as having a deeper voice, which isn't inherently fair. Unpersonal bias. Why are you smiling?
I was imagining in my head like an inquisitor lord with like a really high pitched voice.
Oh, like Mickey Mouse walking in?
Yeah, and like has absolute authority. He's like, "You guys better do what I say, or I'm gonna memory wipe you again."
You betrayed the light of the Emperor, huh?
Yeah. You know, answer with fire and flame.
But Kane's voice is solid. I don't really care about the older sergeant lady that I always forget the name of because she's not actually important or cool. She's not. Look, it's a Kane book. You're here for Kane and Amberleaf. She shows up. That's what you're here for. And Jurgen. Jurgen was fun.
Jurgen's great. I love Jurgen.
I actually enjoyed the Colonel's character. I thought it was a nice change of pace from the usual cut and paste colonels that you encounter in the Imperial Guard.
Well, that's an interesting one too.
Or you talked about the one that started off as like a lower officer, and then she does like the book, or the one that he.
Well, she's a lieutenant when you first see her, and then
Honestly, I conflate both of them.
Oh, okay.
well,
Because one, I think Sula's the one that writes the book later on.
yes, Sula is the one that is so far up the Imperial Creed's butthole that she can't see the light. Whereas the Colonel could differentiate between, all right, let's do our job versus, all right, let's do our duty.
Not the
just don't
one
do-
that seemed to have a kind of thing going on for Kane for like 2 seconds before he was like, "No, we're better friends." Don't.
That's the same character, yeah.
Okay. The other one I just don't really.
I don't think anybody likes Sula.
Amberly makes it pretty clear that nobody likes her. I appreciate that Mitchell won't just have people like you said earlier, be people. Like in 40K literature, there's so much of like, sure, there's this concept of like cultural indoctrination and stuff, but like at a certain point, there's rare glimpses of it. You see it a bit in the Inquisitor series from Avnet. It's like at the end of the day, people are people, and they're more than willing to be like, yeah, sure, I go to church on Sunday, but like, I
Yeah.
have a job in my
Yeah.
life. Like, I don't care about this big picture stuff. And even Kane's like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't essentially have to be. But at this point, I have to be. So unfortunately,
Yeah. For my part, probably what I liked best about the book was the quirkiness and gumption, and like throughout the entire novel, there's just like a lot of quirky moments, a lot of characters that are just matter of fact to the point where it's like you're going to get shot in the face for this. You know that, right? You're going to meet your number one day. It never ceased to make me smile or downright laugh in certain places. As for something I disliked, it was really hard to find something, mainly because this is a solid piece of literature. The pacing's good, the prose is good, the characters are engaging and invested, and they evolve over the course of the novel. I don't know. I couldn't find anything, and
I was kind of like, come on. Just like run off into the tunnels.
it surprised me that he circled back around for a
It's like, let me
second
come back
coming.
and
What is this?
I could leave, but let me come back around just to try and kill
I'm gonna
this guy.
try and mess with the guy with the chain sword and the robot fingers.
It did lead to
That's
one
probably
better-
gonna end well.
It did lead to one of the better lines of the book, though. Fortunately, so we got that.
True.
Yeah, the punchlines were just great.
You're gonna kill this man.
Yes, sir.
Well, then there's the end where he's just like, why'd you shoot them? I'm betting that they got infected by gene stealers. Please let them be infected by gene stealers or I'm about to get shot.
Bring, bring. Yeah,
How
look at
about
that.
that?
How about that?
Good call. How do you know?
I didn't.
Intuition.
Intuition. I am the hero of the Imperium. Of course I knew. So yeah.
Real nice.
If Kane were a Dark Heresy character, he runs on fate points that refresh every scene.
Yeah.
And even if he's down to 0 fate points by the end of the book, he refreshes at least 3 in the next book.
Yeah. At least.
Really high fellowship.
Really high fellowship.
At least unnatural fellowship with a like 8 bonus.
Rolling an 80 on that one.
Oof. Jargon, kill this fool. All right. Leonodas, we're going to circle back around to you next. So who is your favorite character and why?
Oh, it's gotta be Kane. um,
You know what? Let's do this in an actually difficult way.
Oh,
Excluding Kane, who is the best character in the book.
rough.
that is a lot.
That's rough.
It's gonna actually have an answer.
I
Yeah.
let's let you think about that. Well, since you're Johnny on the spot with a question, let's have the Johnny on the spot with an answer.
That's fair. I'll you know, we gotta exclude Amberly because she's impressive, but like you don't see what kind of inquisitor she is really. And Jurgen's just an odd comp. If I had to choose somebody, probably the crew, the
Hmm.
Russian crew,
You mean the Shaper?
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember his name either, but like
He's
his type.
Russian. It's weird that crew are Russian
Yeah, a little bit.
because art like Dark Elder is supposed to also be Russian. It seems like Games Workshop has a small cast of accents that they use expressly for different species, and Crete and Dark Eldar share the same accent. They're
See, they
just
didn't even like
different for some
try with the Drukarian Rogue Trader, the video game. Like they don't have Russian accents. They have like really upturned nosed posh British accents. That's the closest thing we're gonna get to hearing, several Eldari characters from all factions talking. Because you
well,
meet a Harlequin, you meet Drukari, you meet an Eldari, Craftworlder. I think, and you even encounter Exodites. Like it's a whole thing, and they all have largely the same accents with a few differences. But
see, I don't like that because the accent would have diverged over millennia.
yeah, we all know that. I mean, etymology 101, everything diverges, but
Right.
like
So the audiobooks are inherently better to show that.
they're all
Howcat also had a limited cast of people. That's not the point.
yeah.
Crew, the crew. If we're excluding like the actual people that we're here for, I think the crew is probably the most interesting because he was the least willing to be like, "I'll hear this guy out. I might eat him later, but I'll hear this guy out."
Hmm. He's very charismatic. I like that. All right. So let's see here. Since we're still on you, Chamlin, were there any characters you disliked?
Oh, like I said, the Trader Guardsman was just like the governor's the big bad guy. Obviously,
Yeah.
he's going to be a big bad guy. It's like the Trader Guardsman had a chance to get out. He probably wouldn't have gotten out. They probably would
Mm.
have found him later, and he would have been infected with gene stealer virus or whatever, or they would have eaten him. That's fine. But like you circle back, or like it just brings to mind Elijah Koo, and anything that reminds me of Elijah Koo immediately falls into my deeply disliked pile because Koo can go to hell, and he did.
And there's a special layer in the warp just for him, and he's burning badly. Cool. Yeah. So we're gonna come back to you. Favorite character outside of Ciaphis Cain, apparently.
I really like Lord General Zyvan.
Zyvan.
Yeah.
Why'd you like Zyvan?
Zyvan was a pretty chill general. He was also like just very much like, listen, this place ain't worth it. I like that the whole thing is like, this place is 100% not worth the effort.
Yeah.
His whole job is to make sure that they don't do stuff like this place is not it.
Yeah.
And then he like plays along whenever Kane does stuff too, which is always nice. It's
It definitely was the whole asset denial strategy. It's like, listen, we can afford to lose this, but we can't afford to let the Tau have it either.
yeah.
It's just like, so we are here doing what we're going to do until we are told to go somewhere else. It wasn't like something to do with like a weird linchpin strategy against the possibility of the upcoming Tyranid
It is
invasion.
Worry about
Yeah,
wasting
they
much
didn't want to.
resources on
They
that.
didn't want to turn to a war because of divert resources.
Yeah.
Um,
And they can't afford to just not contest it because they're Imperium and they have to save face.
It's more of a hassle if they have it than if they don't.
But Zyvan. Well, I guess we'll see how that character progresses because I am fully aware that Zyvan is featured prominently in other novels.
all right.
He ends up being like number one. Well, not the handler, but he's in his own. Yeah,
The book, she did say in the book that he ends up taking Kane along with him on stuff.
yeah,
Much to Kane's chagrin.
yeah. What about the character you disliked? Were there any?
Hmm. There was the Tau that kept trying to cause problems whenever this guy, he's
Yeah,
justified in it, but like at the same time, it's like maybe we should just all kill ourselves. Like, can we just not for a minute?
Tau, please.
Let's see. Obviously, there's the one guy in the suicide mission. He was a butt, but again, he had guts or whatever. Probably pretty much everyone else in the suicide mission was all right.
I'm pretty sure they all got in the end.
Yeah, I don't think any of them survive it because the two that do get,
Yeah, off.
but the one that was just like, I'm gonna leave and be a jerk. It was like not even the guy you'd really expect to be doing that. It was like, there's also like the guy that the historian dude that every problem comes back to being a rogue trader.
Oh yeah, it's like That's gonna be my answer for the most disliked character. Well, obviously, it was that rogue trader because you know they're up to no good.
I mean, he's not wrong. The man's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Rogue traders are rarely up to good. They think that they have a lot of the British is that they let them have a lot of free reign, and the moment they get back in the imperial bounds, they're like, "I still have a lot of free reign." You don't. The moment you leave bounds, you can do whatever you want. You came back here. You gotta like toe the line.
You got rules, my dude.
This is why we
Rules.
have.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, my answer was also gonna be Ciaphis Cain, but since we were playing this game of, not Ciaphis Cain because it's too
It's a
obvious.
Yeah.
reasonable game to play. Otherwise, we'd all
I
say Caiaphas.
I would contend that the Colonel would be my favorite character then, because outside of Amberley and Caiaphas, who are featured prominently in other novels, the Colonel is my favorite mainly because she gets it. She understands that like there's a push and pull when it comes to like, the bureaucracy of the guard, and she fully admits that she's out of her depth with Kane several times in the novel. And Kane is, of course, more than happy to, fill those shoes up in order to be of assistance. But she's quick witted, she picks up very fast, and she was a competent leader, which, you very rarely see in colonels and above in a lot of these war stories that are set in 40K. Because, like, even Abnett does a really good job of saying, he's like, yeah, these colonels and up, like that Lord Militant General, douche, like absolute douche nozzle, doesn't know what he's doing, and he's gonna get hundreds of thousands of guardsmen killed over fighting
Well,
something that doesn't need to be
I mean,
fought
there's
over.
that one where like after what was it? I don't think it was after Iron Star. It was after the book that was after Iron Star or
Mm,
whatever. Where he came. Oh, it was after Gaunt lost his whatever. There was a lot that happened to him in a series of like two books.
yeah, it's pretty rough.
He came and he's like, I don't know what I can do for you. So just ask me. He's like, stop throwing us in suicide mission.
Van
Yeah.
Voigts. That was Lord Militant General
Yeah.
Van
He's like,
Voigts.
I don't care what you asked of me. I will give it to you if I can. Like, just stop doing this to us.
And then he immediately puts him on honor guard, and it leads to like the next 3 books and more
I mean,
besides.
reasonable ask.
And he gets it, and that, to the credit, of Van Voigts, I suppose. But like Van Voigts was only a problem in that he used the ghost, and that was absolutely bad that he did, especially since that the whole book was just awful nightmare fuel. But yeah, no, but my point is we see more bad generals and bad leaders than good, and it's refreshing to see one that has competency and is very clearly being set up to be, something more perhaps in the end, or not. I don't know. I didn't read all the Ciaphas Cain novels, to my knowledge. I read a lot, but I don't recall how many there are.
Well, there's at least four on the buy, and I've only read two. But
Yeah, I haven't.
I mean, I have two over there, so I haven't read.
Yeah,
We're going off of
I mean,
people that you see good versus bad. We don't see bad commissars. We don't see commissars that are willing to be like, absolutely not.
yeah, no, it's weird.
I don't like that. Like
Yeah,
Kane, Gaunt. Now I don't know anything about Severina Rain. I don't know what kind of commissar she is. As far as I
okay.
know, she's not blow a soldier's head off for an infraction. I want a book, or at least a short story, a novella of a commissar who's like, no, this is against the primer, slaps it down, 40 lashes, go. It's not my fault that you can't stay in line. Now, I'm not saying that the regiment has to have likable people in it. Because there's like there's a what's that series of like it's not Death World or like a penal legion
Hmm.
thing where they're like,
Last Chancers.
there we go, last chancers. There's that,
It's campy but good shit.
but it's not a commissar that's leading that. It's a
Yeah.
general, and he's like, you can't kill this dude with a bane blade. He'll always come back because he has to come back and keep these jerks in line. Uh, I want a commissar that's like, no, you
Hmm.
broke the rule. Like, you broke the rule. We have a copy of the Imperial Instruments Uplifting Primer in print. I have it. It's over there. I can read the infractions. I want a book that's like, no, you broke this infraction. This is the punishment. It's not my fault.
I am honestly the closest we got to that was again to no surprise, a Gaunt's Ghost novel, and that was when they were doing, what's that kid's name?
Milo?
No, the other one that got adopted by Creed. I can't.
Oh, the annoying little, uh, Grok's head that turns into a demon weapon thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
him. He finishes Rip, but because they're in invasion mode, he gets repossessed into like a essentially little better than like a chain gang of just like a lot of dropped out or washed out troopers, and they form like a pressed gang squad that's being ran by a commissar, and this commissar literally blows a kid's head off in the middle of like a artillery strike because the kid was near a strike, lost his las gun, and didn't have it when the commissar was nearby. He says, and then he just recited word for word from the primer, guardsman failure to have his las gun within arm's reach at all times, summary execution, and just blows his
Yeah,
head
but I'm
off.
pretty sure that commissar also gets.
He dies, yeah.
I want a commissar that, like, doesn't get got and just, like, follows the regulations. Like, "Look, I have to do this because my regiment is a particular kinda way, and they need me to act like an actual commissar,
Yeah,
and this
yeah.
is just how it works."
The irony of it is it makes the most sense when it's with Penal Legion, but commissars and Penal Legions don't last long.
Oh, like, that's the thing is that we're told commissars have to act a particular kind of way because that's how regiments need to be run in the Imperium.
Yeah.
That's just the way that they are. But we never see that. We're told that this is how they do it, but we never see it. We only ever see exceptions. Gaunt's an exception. His other commissar that was supposed to keep Gaunt in line, whatever his name is that I don't remember the name of,
Mm,
he turns into an exception because he starts out trying to be a hard ass, and then Gaunt wins him over with his amazing charisma. Hane's an exception because he doesn't want to get shot,
yeah,
and he would get shot.
100%.
Um, and I haven't read Severine Rain. Maybe she's not like that, but I have to assume that she probably is like that.
Mm. It's a certainly a topic that I too would like to see a little bit more of, just so we could say that it's been out there. I think like the point of contingency with that boils down to it doesn't engage the reader to see something like that because there's nothing heroic about being a political officer and killing, out probable cause, even though the laws are clearly defined.
That's why you make the secondary characters uh, worse than him.
Mm,
People like Dead Man Walking because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd say like a Penal Legion short story probably be good for that. I don't know, like a full novel.
I could see a
Uh,
novella. I could see a
yeah,
novella.
mm.
like a full like really long book about this guy just blasting people left, right, and center. And let's just like these guys aren't getting it.
Yeah, that happens.
That or like they're it's like the book is just a doomed book anyway, where it's like you can't run. We're saving like 15 civilians right now. And there's a demon horde coming.
Well,
If you
there's
move, I'm going to shoot you.
yeah, but there's also like just like on Scott, it could just be like it's a RIP regiment. They just got out of RIP.
Yeah.
They don't got it down. They don't know what they're doing. They're scared. They're young. They need somebody to be like, you have to be more scared of me than you are of the enemy. Like, and he doesn't have to enjoy it, or she, I don't care. They don't have to enjoy blasting some dude's head off, but they just have to be able to be like, the reason I am like this is because they have to be more scared of than they are of the enemy. That's why commissars exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they could have like a young, likable, plucky kid or whatever that grows into a hard ass over the course of books or something to be like, there, now he finally gets it.
Okay, so circling back around to the question, finishing up on mine before we move on to the next one. I disliked two characters in this novel. First one, obviously, is that pesky rogue trader, always up to no good. And the second was Sola, Lieutenant Sola, if you're feeling nasty. I did not like Sula. Sula reminded me of a superior I knew when I served in the military, like minus all the the weird God Emperor thing, but the religious fervor was there, and they were so to the nines about it, literally viewed everything that we did as crusading actions. Like that disvault it was bad. It was really bad.
That's weird.
It was weird. Yeah. It's just like, hey,
Hey, Chaplain, should he be this into it?
nah, bruh. He shouldn't. My brother in Christ, take it down a couple pegs.
We're not Catholic for one. Two, the Pope's not here.
Yeah, so, yeah, it just her character reminded me too much of that real world person, which I hope all is well. I genuinely don't know, it's been so long, but even so, that was my 2 cents on it. Now, Chamlin, we're gonna circle back around to you for this next one. Did any part of the book evoke a strong emotion in you? And if so, which part and what emotion did it trigger?
More or less the relationship development. I liked that. It was a nice because it's like I said, it's refreshing. It's just refreshing if you've read a lot of 40K fiction, where you're like, man, I need like a breath of fresh air. So apparently, if you read a lot of 40K fiction and you've really never dug into Sandy Mitchell, you're like, man, this just feels all kind of samey after a certain point. Pick up a Sandy Mitchell novel. You feel really refreshed of like, okay, yeah, people are people. They're not these pretend to be.
I mean, yeah, I call Sandy Mitchell's Ciaphis Cain novels K cleansers. It literally they are, as you have said, they are they
Even the Dark Heresy novels are like that. Mitchell
yeah,
writes like that. Mitchell
yeah.
makes an imperium that's like people live in this imperium. They're not caricatures.
Mm.
They're just people. They're just people being people. They have people feelings. They act like humans. They don't act like the concepts of like a loyal imperial citizen or some bastard
Paragons and
cultist.
nonsense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they're not paragons of these ideas. They're just like even the cultists are more people like the governor. The governor's just like, okay, so you're all right, you're just a megalomaniac. Got it. Understood.
Free arms.
Yeah, you got three arms. Like, okay, you're it's not weird. It doesn't don't get me wrong, they are weird in the sense of they're gene stealers, but it doesn't sound weird. He's not
He's probably
blaring
I feel like that one's probably the closest to a parody, but
he's not blaring about
yeah.
the four-armed emperor or anything. He's just like, you're just a big bad evil guy.
Yeah.
He's really like the lackey of the big bad wheel guy.
Right. Well, eventually you'll read about Kane's ex and like she's just a crazy ex-girlfriend. She happens to be a cultist. Just a crazy ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ancillary. It's like
Yeah.
he is first and foremost a crazy ex-girlfriend. Secondarily, she is a Slaneshi cultist.
Yeah, you happen to be the crazy ex-girlfriend.
Kane didn't pick that up, but I'm sure he was too busy figuring other things out about it at the time.
Yeah, as you do when you just walk through life with everything just going your way.
I mean, he does get his ass kicked.
Yeah,
Or
frequently gets his ass kicked,
he does. He
yes.
lost a hand. All right, you
Yeah.
can't say that everything goes your way.
I mean, like, his luck is just something else.
I'll
Like,
trade some fingers for my life.
He might be Joseph Joestar.
I, yeah, I don't know if he plans that well, but
Yeah.
he does scheme pretty well with the
He
one.
reads his opponents as well as
That's true. The
this is
reading
a revelation.
Yeah.
The man has a robot hand. He reads his opponents like nobody else. He consistently finds himself in a very lucky position.
Yeah, next you're gonna say that he is the greatest character in 40K. He is the greatest character in 40K.
He's definitely-
Yeah.
if we're gonna talk about greatest characters in 40K, probably Mulligan. Come on, guys.
I see it. I do. I do. I don't know if he's my favorite, I'm gonna be honest, but, like, I see it, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. By the way, I'm just saying, he might be Joseph Joestar.
Cool. Alright, Leonidas, how about you? Did this book evoke any strong emotions, and if so, why?
I feel like the only real emotion I was getting from it was probably the humor from it.
Yeah.
Made me laugh quite a few times. Um,
Yeah.
certainly a lot of the exhales heavily whilst I'm just hearing these silly things go on, and half of his plans just functioning despite the fact that they probably ought not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably just humor on for me, I'd say, and then the why he's in a lot of funny situations.
Yeah.
It seems like a cop out of an answer, but
No, I mean,
without
like,
going into like long explanations of every single scene that made me laugh, I don't.
the beauty of, the quote unquote palate cleanser book within 40K is mostly the humor. On my part, damned if I didn't relate to Caiaphas on more than one occasion. I think the apt event that resonated was the commissary brawl and how he talked it down. You cannot undersell how important morale is in a fighting unit, and more so what unity means to the common line trooper. If you don't toe the line, it gets noticed. Cain gets it,
Yeah.
as well as he should, considering he was in the Guard for 20 years prior to the events of this novel. I just like that Sandy Mitchell wrote about a character that gets it, gets like the mindset of like a common line trooper, understands what motivates them and manipulates it. Because never forget, he is in fact a political officer. He is a commissar. That's what they do. They take your better and lesser instincts and projects them in like a positive way for the fighting unit. So I appreciated that. I resonated with that. I remember that being done to me multiple times, such as it is. Let's go back to you first, Leonatus, on this next one. What themes stood out to you in this book, and how well do you think the author explored these themes?
It's the theme that I like the best. It's kind of like the nature of, like, how Cain sees himself versus how Cain was,
Mm,
and how that kind of gets you a book where it's like you can't really trust half the stuff that's being said because as you know, let's see, he doesn't like himself because I think he doesn't reach this level of perfection that he wants on himself.
yeah,
I think despite the fact that he says he's not that into the stuff, I think he is like a true believer in all the stuff. And because he can't reach that level of perfection, he thinks he's crap. And that
yeah, no, so you're prescribing to flawed heroism, I
yeah, yeah.
believe.
So then like s- everything he does, he then undercuts himself on it. Despite the fact that he is like he's not running out into nonsense to get himself killed. He is very much wants to keep himself alive.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you can't be a hero if you're dead.
indeed.
Um, and he doesn't and as much as he says he doesn't want to protect people, he always does. There's no situation where he's like, "No, I'm not gonna help these people out." At least in that, like, I can recall. I guess there's the one where he does burn down the building that the Inquisitors
Yeah, no, her entourage
um,
when they were escaping, and
he
then
didn't know that at the time. He figured they're just some cultists, but felt, turncoats.
yeah,
Uh, then he realized it was a problem, but that one, I guess you have kind of the, unreliable narrator stuff, which is done pretty well because again, he's a known liar and it's all secondhand, third hand really because she's reading the thing that he wrote. Um,
Well, it's an interesting way because even Kane's like, "Yeah, I came from a high world," and she's like, "There is literally I can't find a high world he could have come from,
and he has all the hive world powers.
and yet he has all the high world powers."
So something in his story doesn't line up, but enough of it does was he's clearly underground for a
I
long
can't
time.
remember if they ever mention it or talk about more on it. I would suspect that he probably grew up on, like, a large station.
Maybe.
Rat tunneling through that, but
maybe,
I don't
maybe.
recall.
Anything else to add on your part?
I think that's it for right now.
Okay, how about you, Chamlin?
The theme question,
Yeah,
it's just satire. The whole thing is the whole thing is actual satire where it's satire on a setting that the rest of the fan base takes way too seriously. People coming into the setting are coming at it from a serious angle because they're generally coming off the tabletop game. People coming at it from the lore perspective, like being serious, depending on what edition that they're in or what faction they want to be about. But Mitchell's just like, yeah, sure, but what if it was silly? Because it is. Mitchell treats the universe for what it is. Just this silly idea of nonsense. And it's not even like hyper grimdark to make it funny. It's just it's the fact that people see what the universe is and they're still gonna act like the way that people are, and that's gonna lead to situations that they are. That novel being so early and them just plainly talking to Tao, and they're like, "Right, but what if you just weren't here? Could we just have the world back and we not get into a giant fight over it? We should do that, you know?" It's interesting because that was back around 4th going into 5th edition,
yeah, 2003.
something close to that. That was the edition where I started getting into it, and that concept of just like, yeah, but these aliens do happen to talk, and they do speak Imperial, so we can't happen to actually speak to them. They're not gonna shoot us for that. And they're just like, "Yeah, but what if you guys just left?
Yeah,
What
They
if you
ghost
just
you.
left and let us deal with this?" Like, "Well, what if you just left, Imperials?" It's like, "We can't do that, bud."
Yeah, no, this was ours first.
Uh, yeah, that's ours now. It's like, yeah, but what if it wasn't?
They were just trying to protect their trade routes.
Sure.
Both
Yeah.
sides were.
Yes.
Sure. And there was also that bit at the end where, like, Kane and Amberly are like, "So should we tell them that, they likely have, people infected in there?" And he's like, "Nah, fuck them."
He was like, "Is that okay?" She's like, "Yeah."
Right, yeah. Kane was like, "I don't know if we should let this happen." And Amberly's like, "No, no, 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 no. Let us play out. If the Tyranids eat them first, it's for the best."
They
That's
can learn
what
their lessons.
that's why we have them here. Eventually they're gonna wise up. Yeah, anything else on your end?
No, I think Mitchell's strongest point is I don't want to say they don't take the setting seriously. They very obviously do. They wouldn't have pushing 20 books. I think it's very close to 20 at this point. If they didn't take the setting to heart, but they're willing to hold the setting to the fire and be like, yeah, but this is actually stupid when you think about it. And here's why. People don't need to be so serious here.
I feel like 40K gets construed. It's awful on a macro level, but on a micro level, it's
It's still people.
yeah. So when you're just exploring people, like as many planets as are in the Imperium, half of them are probably just like living happy-go-lucky lives with nothing ever happened. They're
More
just
than
growing wheat.
half, more than half, like it's like 70% of the planets in the Imperium, nothing happens there,
Yeah.
but we never hear about those.
Yeah, because that's not
It's
worth
not a very interesting story
It's
to
not
hear
very
about
Exactly.
Billy Bob growing wheat in the agro world, but
Yeah. For my part, I agree with Leonodas here. Flawed heroism stood out as the primary theme of this novel. It's made apparent from Cain having to navigate the complexities of leadership and unity amidst chaos, also while questioning himself and whether he's worthy in the way that roundabout way he does. Story also highlights the struggle for morale within his regiment and the importance of unity in the face of conflict. For his part, I do think Sandy Mitchell nailed that theme specifically. But yeah, that's where I'm feeling on that. Leonotis, if you could give this book a different title, what would it be?
different title. Let's see, in the belly of the Tau.
See, that's how you make a joke title.
Oh, come off it. They were hilarious and you have no sense of humor.
Yeah.
See, that's fun. The belly of the South, that's
Yeah.
funny.
I thought it was pretty good.
Um,
That's not nice.
so what does Andrew call the Kane volume? It's like the Kane archives or something.
Yeah, it's
It's like a
called Kane
triple
Archive. It's the Kane Archives.
one, if we're gonna really call it anything, it should have been like the Kane Archives Volume 1.
Chronologically, though, this isn't volume
It's
one.
not, but it's still the first story that Amberley felt like detangling.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, how
Um,
about like a phoenix from the ashes?
See, that's funny.
Problem stuff for the Emperor is so terrifically generic. Mitchell gets the monopoly on generic titles.
Yeah.
I feel like it is a really good title for the book,
Unfortunately, yeah, it really is.
but you're also not wrong. It's pretty generic.
I know, but like, what else do you call it other than like the volume 1 of the Kane Archives? That's what it is.
Yeah.
So I take it that's your answer then. Huh?
Like if I were naming Kane Archives, I just probably just like have the planet
Yeah.
because every book's different.
The riots of Gavarax or something like that.
Or like at most it's like the meet cute. This is what it is. Amberly's like, this is the story that I'm doing first because I randomly picked it out. Actually, it's the first story where
Teehee. Yeah. I don't think she would ever teehee now or ever.
she
Oh,
she,
I think she teeheed.
she has a she has a wry smile.
Well, inside of that, or the fan and the.
Well, no,
I don't
because
think she knows, but I think she might teehee
Kane
it, like,
expressly
with-
says that she has a very melodic laugh.
Mm.
If I remember right, he does use the line of like, there are very few things I wouldn't do to hear that laugh again.
He is a bit of a sap for her,
Well, yes, he's
as well as he should be.
he's-
She's a
he's
delight.
Geralt.
Yeah.
Geralt's deeply in love with you.
It's hard to beat the current title. It's solid.
It's hard to beat the current title because when you have something that generic, it's hard to think of something specific.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of was Veiled Hero. And like even then I didn't like it because that's all I could figure out. It was hard. It's like For the Emperor is pretty on point, I think. Because like you could be argued one of the other themes that was kind of hinted at is like the greater good and For the Emperor. It's the same damn
Oh,
thing.
actually, you know what? You could name it like the number of the regiment that gets formed there. Like,
597,
yeah, you could name it the 597.
or the founding of the 597s.
Too long.
Eh, yeah.
I think that the base name is nice because it also does function on the parody of itself as well.
It is.
So,
That's the
yeah.
problem too.
The
It's a
theme of the
really
parody, like, and it's like I just said, like the beauty of it is they were in conflict with the Tau, who have the greater good, for the greater good, for the emperor. It's literally the same thing. It's the same thing.
Dogma for another, yeah.
All right. So Chamlin, how did the book compare to others you've read by the same author or in the same genre?
you read one Mitchell book, you have factually read every Mitchell book.
That's fair.
And that's not saying that's a bad thing. Mitchell writes a consistent way. There's only Mitchell writes Cain, or they did write the two Dark Heresy novels,
Yeah.
which was supposed to have a third one, but it never got written. And I will never forgive Games Workshop for not giving us that third book
Mhm.
because it was going to complete the trilogy. It's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing. The way that Mitchell writes is the way that Mitchell writes. They write people being people down to the core and relationships that aren't tragic for the sake of it.
Mhm.
And it just like there's nobody else in Black Lighter that writes like Mitchell.
Mhm.
Mitchell, I don't know if Mitchell's the only one allowed to write like Mitchell or Mitchell's the only one that wants to write like Mitchell. Mitchell is the only one that writes like Mitchell. And that's why I say that if you're having a tough time where you're like, I can't read another one of these, they're way too, they just feel, they feel the same as like they're all just grim face of it.
Mhm.
Go read a Mitchell book. You'll be refreshed and be like, yeah, sure, I can get back into like whatever I was reading. I'll read the 10th Gaunt's Ghost book where, spoiler alert, bad stuff happens to the ghost. Gaunt's upset and he still doesn't sleep with Anna. Weird.
Yeah. Toss. All right.
Actually, I think the 10th was Jago, and that's a pretty good one.
That's a good
That's
one.
not the point.
He said, well, let's back up. That might be Jago.
It's close. It's close.
It's
'Cause
close.
It's in the third. It's in the third omnibus, and that's Garen.
Yes.
That's a good art.
Yeah. Any point in time that the Sons of Sex start, showing up, I was just like, all right, now we're getting somewhere.
But I will say it's still the same because stuff happens to the ghost.
Yeah.
Gaunt gets pretty annoyed at the situation, and he doesn't sit with Anne.
Listen, don't fix. I mean, if it's not broken, chicken grease salt, man. Simple.
No. Here's the thing: Advent's never going to let that one pay off. They're never going to get.
Yeah. Okay.
That is frustrating.
Yes.
It'd have to be.
I mean, he had, he's
I'm
just
not
saying,
ready,
It's
but
a
like,
will they won't they. It's gone for 12 novels.
that's too many novels.
how many years in
Actually,
total?
okay, to be fair, they met in like the second novel, but it's been like 10 books.
Was it? No, it was Necropolis they met. That was book 3.
It was the book before Necropolis because that's where she got introduced.
Anna Kurth? That's
Sure.
Necropolis.
Oh, you're right. She joined up with the rest of the Necropolis.
Yeah, she's featured heavily as a side character with a
You're right.
side
I forgot
story.
about that. I thought that she was introduced as Jordan's assistant and then got thrown into Necropolis. That's not the
Yeah, no.
She was in Necropolis.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, she was a Medicaid doctor with her own practice in Vervenhive.
Okay, I'm just saying it's been 10 books.
It's cool.
There's like 13 Gaunt's Ghost books.
It's a lot.
She's been in 10 of them.
It bleeds together.
And
Listen,
they haven't been.
I think they have, and it.
No, they did. Okay, Gaunt was
Okay.
on.
Oh, hey,
Gaunt was
hey,
on.
we're here for you. No,
Gaunt
nothing
was
can
on
harm you.
Garon, and they slept with the resistance leader, and he hallucinated that he was sleeping with Anna.
Dear viewer, I'd
And
like to
Anna
point
heard
out
it.
that he has a manic look in his eye.
And Anna heard it. Anna heard God banging this rebel leader, thinking that she was Anna.
He's starting to tear up. Viewership.
I'm not tearing up, and go to hell.
I see a little wetness in his eye.
Abnett writes relationships to save his life, and it's been 10 books, and Anna's gonna watch God die, confessing his love to her with her hands inside of his guts.
We've had this conversation more than once on this
And I'll
podcast.
put money on it.
I believe this is I want to say it's the second
It's
time.
at least the
I was going to say third, but I was being
no,
nice.
it's at least the fifth time I've said
This has happened more than once, Leonodas, if you've not listened to it.
because guess what? The victory isn't the end of the Gaunt's Ghost series. The arc called The Victory isn't the end of the Ghost series. And he still hasn't finished the Inquisitor trilogy.
All right, we're going to move on because I don't think you can handle another ulcer.
We don't have that kind of time.
No, we don't. And to be honest with you, I don't want to dedicate that kind of time.
Yeah.
I can't contribute to this conversation.
uh, yeah, you're leaving out our bestest pal, Leonodas. You can't do that.
Ten books
I can
of
all I can say is 10 books is too long for a relationship not to either cut it off or don't, but don't that's too much.
okay,
Like 2
so
books maybe. That's to that point.
so we know that you haven't read another Sandy Mitchell novel, and we also know that you don't really read 40K book. But just on the off chance, the question remains the same.
I mean, like if we can go to like science fantasy versus fantasy, I've read a lot of fantasy books.
Yeah.
Um,
How about you just compare it to the latest thing you read that was set in fantasy?
yeah, so I would say that the characters are probably this is really high end on how well the characters are done on it. Action sequences are not the point of the book, but they're a little weaker than they are in a lot of other books I tend to read. Again, it's not the purpose of it is not to be high end action movie stuff. So that's
Yeah.
not it's not a dig at it. It's just a reality of it.
Now, have you ever actually read other grimdark settings?
I think the closest you've gotten is watching, right? You've watched Emperor's Station, right?
Yeah, I've done that. But yeah, Grimdark's not really my thing. I've been going through the magic books, which are weirdly grimdark. Actually, I wouldn't have
Well,
figured on
with the
that, but
Phyrexians are involved, certainly.
yeah, yeah. So it's they're all way more of a buzzkill than I ever would have figured them being. So, but again, they're not 40K grimdark. I mean, we're gonna like
Yeah, I mean,
it's not again. It doesn't get
They
off on stuff
coined
doing
the
that, but
term.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's things are rough because they have to be for the stuff to continue.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's Grimdark's not my general bag. I need to have some optimism in my life. Things are rough enough in real life for me to read about it getting
Yeah,
worse. It's like,
yeah.
oh, at least it's not that bad. It's like,
Oh, gee, it only gets worse.
It's still pretty bad.
It is very bad, but we're
yeah,
moving on.
boy,
Um, for my part, I believe that Sandy Mitchell rarely disappoints. He delivers almost every time, and any time I've ever read any of his stuff. Compared to others in the genre, it is a breath of fresh air, as the humor adds a layer of complexity to an otherwise grimdark story. Much the same, which has already been said, frankly, by Chamlan. Yeah, well, you notice. Were there any other quotes or passages that particularly resonated with you, and if so, why?
as I said before, one of my favorite quotes in the thing is "You're gonna kill this man" because it just kind of comes out of nowhere and it's funny. I really like the part where the brawl's happening in the mess hall and he's just like, "Sweep that up. It's a mess in here.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You three, go get some mops. So get mops for everybody."
Because he thinks it's funny too because it's palpable. You know that they're like, oh crap, he's gonna start killing people, and he's like, you get a mop and bucket.
After getting caught trying to leave, he's like, "No, I just got in."
Got in, guys.
Buggy's his way to victory once more.
Yeah, Chamlin,
What?
you're up.
No, I mean, what's the question?
Were there any other quotes or passages that particularly resonated with you, and if so, why?
All right, there are two. I have a quote and I have a passage. The quote is, I think nothing. I'm just a soldier, which is such a, he's using it as like a get out of trouble card. But like, I feel like the majority of people in the military probably just like, I think nothing because you don't want me to say what I'm about to say. So I'm just going to shut up. Um, but two, uh, they bring it up like twice. Is that there's a tarot game, but it's not. It's like a poker game, but it's not poker because they recognize the face, the actual multitude of faces. Like I I really want that game, whatever it is. I want to
Mm.
know the rules of it. What?
Interestingly, they used to actually play poker with tarot cards.
Well, I know tarot eventually became poker to keep it safe from people being staked. That's what
Yeah,
they were. That's
Yeah,
why they turn it into a poker deck.
yeah, yeah.
I know,
yeah.
but I want to know the rules of this game
Okay.
because it's 40K and they use a tarot deck, and we're in the middle of some stuff going on with tarot cards and in the role playing game. Anyways, that's not the point. I didn't realize that. I it must have just been like a seed in the back of my conscience to be like, yeah, it's a card game because I was playing Witcher 3 and there's a lot of Gwent and I don't. That's a whole different conversation about how much I dislike that game. Not Witcher 3, Gwent.
not to get people
Yeah, I don't know.
real mad.
Hey, oh, hey.
Go on.
Yeah, no, here I am just chilling in my Discord with my 3 online persons out of nowhere, 300 people flood in. He's like, hey, Chamlan said some dangerous stuff about Gwent in Witcher 3. We're going to have some words.
What? I agree with the dwarves. The Skilligan deck is cultural appropriation by Italians, and they can go to hell.
I don't think you're going to see people upset at the Gwent part. Witcher 3 part might.
Yeah,
Yeah, Witcher,
all of it. All of
Witcher
it.
3 is a fine game. Gwent is not a great part of that fine game.
Yeah.
Either way, I want to know the rules of this tarot game because it just sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Kane's like, yeah, I'd rather have a tarot deck. It's like, you can trick people. It's like, no, 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 no. I'd rather have a tarot deck so I can play the game and get money.
So there was a moment in the story when Cain told Sola off and she didn't get it. So much that she took it as a compliment and wrote it out to victory later on in the story. It was hilarious in very subtle ways. That type of sardonic humor gets me every time. I just remember listening to it when I was doing some delivery runs, and I just had to stop because I was just hyperventilating laughter. I don't know why that was so funny to me at the time, and trying to explain it doesn't really do it justice. But like, there's just something about an absent-minded person not getting that they're being told off in a subtle way and then utilizing that as like a call to action that is just hilarious to me.
Um, There's a couple other lines I like. There's she'd be a good diplomat if she wasn't so honest when he's talking about the colonel
Yeah.
and he's having a conversation with the Inquisitor. She's like, "You could just be yourself," and he's like, "That's a
It's a horrible idea.
It's a horrible,
Horrible
plan.
idea.
What a horrifying concept."
There's also the line that Major I want to say Broccolov. I don't remember exactly how to say his last name, but I think he said something in regards to Sula, where he's like, she's going to be an amazing general one day, assuming she doesn't die first. Yeah, assuming she survives. A lot of just like one two liner quibs from characters in this novel that just make it brilliant.
That's
Very
just
quickly.
Mitchell to a T.
Yeah,
That's why it's always a breath of fresh air. Mitchell knows how to write comedy. If there was, I mean, there is an Amazon thing in development, but like, if you wanted a long running thing that the common audience would really get into, because they'd be able to relate to it, it'd be Mitchell. That's the thing. That's
yeah,
the easiest way to present the Imperium to people, to the common layperson, and they'd be like, okay, I get it, huh?
There's this guy.
Who's this
To a
guy?
common layperson, and they'd be like, "Okay, I get it. Yeah, this setting's ridiculous, but, like, these people are still people." You can't throw something like, the Horus Heresy at a common at somebody not interred into the setting and then be like, "This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen."
Yeah, no, horse heresy would be a hard sell because you don't appreciate 40K as the proper medium first. Yeah, no, like, I agree with you 100%. You
Or
could not do HH.
it'd be kinda hard to I'd honestly say it'd be kinda hard to throw something like I don't think Gaunt's Ghost has enough of common Imperium in it.
I mean, it definitely has the grimdark and the character focus, but I'm also inclined to agree that most people tuning in week to week, like you said, wouldn't be that invested into it, as opposed to like, I would say you'd probably get away with either the Last Chancers, Ciaphis Cain, and then to the lessest extent of those two options, Eisenhorn.
You'd have a shot with an Inquisitor story, um, because he's still like the character focus is better. The Last Chances probably wouldn't be bad. You just get a bunch of Australians, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
No,
always imagine The Last Chances is Australian.
I mean, not all of them are. Some of them are. But yeah. Um. Hmm. Chamlin, would you recommend this book to others? Why or why not?
1,000%.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually think about this question as like, would you recommend this as a first book? Yes.
Mm,
Mitchell is the easiest introduction of 40K you can give anybody. It gives you enough proper nouns to be like, what's this thing? But it doesn't drown you in
yeah.
setting.
Yeah.
It gives you funny characters because you're gonna run into stuff in 40K where you're like, this is stupid, this is dumb, this isn't enjoyable. Why did this character do this? Like this doesn't make any sense, yada yada yada. If you don't have any experience with 40K, you could give somebody a Sandy Mitchell novel and be like, that's like the vibe.
Yeah.
It gets darker. You're at the tippy top of the iceberg. There's depth. um, there's again, it's a scale. It's Sandy Mitchell to
Definitely.
Gentleman Walking.
Oh, yeah, definitely dip your little toe, Sandy Mitchell. Good starter. For my part, I also would recommend it. The reason is simple. It is fun, action-packed, and does a good job of demonstrating everyday life of both the citizen of the Imperium, but also her soldiers. Really, really cut and clean there. Leonodas.
Absolutely, it's just a fun book. I mean, even if you don't care about the setting, I think this works even if you don't care about 40K. It's just a fun story
Yeah, no, it's
with
fun.
fun characters.
It's really
If
fun.
you like 40K, obviously you're gonna get even more out of it. The Tau pipe part might be a little confusing if you had no idea what 40K stuff, but everything else is kinda straight.
Further credence to Chamlin's whole example. Like, this is a good starter book because it's not too heavy, it's not too light. It's got like a sweet spot of sardonic and satirical humor that can be both in your face and subtle, and the prose is amazing. Like,
And honestly, if you want more Mitchell, but you want more depth, you can read his 2 Dark Heresy books if you can find them. And it's an investigation, it's got more depth, it's got more focus in like, okay, well, this is Inquisitor stuff, and that's its own gateway, because Inquisitor stuff's generally pretty separated from the overall in-depth of, like, military stuff in
mhm,
40K, which is its own thing that a lot of people may not enjoy.
yeah,
But
it's a definitely investigative slash clandestine operative spy thriller kind of vibe for a lot of inquisitorial stories, but like there are exceptions. Yeah, yeah. So Leonotis, how did this book make you feel overall? Did it change your perspective on any topic, specifically involving 40K?
Like I said, the book made me happy to read. It brought me a good amount of joy. It was nice to get some to read something in the setting because it's I'm not gonna lie, there are a lot of things in it, it's just like, the vibe is not where I'm at, but this one does, which is nice. Uh, Maybe I guess it might make it a little more open to try to read something else in this setting. Obviously, I think like anything with Ciaphis Cain, I think I'm gonna enjoy because or the Mitchell in general, probably be something I could like. Um, but, I might be open to trying something different at some point. If it's a little I'm not going full on the horse heresy levels of everything is awful all the time. But yeah, maybe something a little further in at some point.
Yeah, of course, Chamlin.
I mean, this is like I said, this is like the second. I usually only read omnibuy of 40K books, just because I don't like trying to hunt down single stories if I can help it. Uh, it's like the second thing I read. I remember kind of how I felt about it before, where before I was like, I don't get why he's not taking this more seriously because I was a teenager. Not like that's just how I
I
felt.
I've been there with plenty of
It's like,
things.
why
Yeah,
is he taking this more
yeah,
seriously? He's just like making fun of it. It's like, yeah, that is yeah, person who was half my age. That was the point.
yeah,
Um, that was the idea.
yeah,
So I find, so yeah, it was good revisiting and being like, oh yeah, this is actually like way better than I gave it credence for when I was younger. So I definitely have thoughts of like this has got to like Sandy Mitchell is definitely 40K for, like, adults
mm,
who have gotten out of their own head, but still enjoy the setting, because I don't know that teenagers would inherently I don't wanna say, like, they don't get it, but, like, I was a teenager who really enjoyed 40K. I know what that feeling is of just like, well, he's just not taking it seriously.
yeah,
They are. They're not taking it seriously in a way that you get.
When you're at that age where you're like your big boy pants are super important.
Right,
So it's
yeah.
like, this is too fun. What's going on? This is the kid stuff. It's like,
That's, like, legit
yeah,
thoughts I remember having of, like, why
yeah,
is he just making fun of it?
plenty
Like,
of
I don't
yeah,
get it.
media I went through is like, and I watched, I was like, this is so much better than I remember.
Right, yeah.
Like, how did I have the opinion that this thing was better than this one? That's insane.
yeah.
Um,
So I enjoyed it and would read it again, as I have many times since it first came out. I don't know if it changed my perspective, though it should be noted when I first read this so many years ago, I didn't realize this sort of novel could exist in this setting. Kind of what you guys have been alluding to. Honestly, it was the same vibe for me. So long you're used to the guns, guts, and glory motif, and when something like this novel comes out, it makes you start to think outside the box, which I believe is the point. You know, that satire, that sardonic undertone, the subtlety to which the characters go about their own ideals and their own humors as well is just like what made this novel so fascinating to me so many years ago and again to, the here and now as an adult. But yeah, I no, I agree with you guys. I really do feel the vibe of like, why isn't he taking this more seriously?
Actually, notice you might it's not 40K, but you might enjoy the Gore-Tex and Felix series. It's got the same kind of vibe as Mitchell in that Felix is always in nonsensical situations and Gore-Tex is always just like, "Time to bring out my axe." I think you would enjoy that from the fantasy aspect in terms of it's not it's also
Yeah, no, they don't. Yeah, so Gortrix is he's a slayer. He's a dwarf slayer,
Okay.
and Felix is basically
his bar.
his bard. Yeah,
Okay, so is
he's a
this
human bard.
Gore-Tex saves them, and Felix is like, "Well, now I've gotta write your story." And then
And almost every single novel
that's
is a
the gist.
monster of the week kind of thing.
okay, so it's like a war this is Warhammer Fantasy?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
right. It's old world before the
Gore-Tex comes
anti.
back and
I know they're in AOS.
I don't know if they are. I don't know if he's found Felix yet.
I don't think he's found Felix, yes, but
But
Gortrix
Gore-Tex,
is yes.
uh,
Um,
I think you would enjoy that in the sense of it is also a more lighthearted take. You might enjoy the Inferno magazine because that's short fiction, so you might it could be like a microdosing grimdark, I guess.
Yeah, build up my immunity.
Kind of. But
yeah,
well,
basically.
every single short story is a different author. So like a shotgun of different styles. And so like it ranges between every single magazine of,
And
like,
That's
how
fair.
dark it is.
being completely fair to you, you'll notice there are 100% those novels out there where it's like, oh my God, this is way too much.
Advent
Way
himself,
too long, yeah.
the
Yeah.
entire Garon through Jago is that.
Yeah.
This if you put this in anybody else's hands who's like not into the setting, you're like, this is ridiculous.
I mean, just like, as themes go, there are those quote unquote bolter porn books that will just make you not want to read another 40K novel.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could think to say is, contact Chamlan or I and we'll guide you through the BS. He's like, don't read this, it'll put you off. Just like read that instead. But Chamlan,
What?
were there any plot twists that surprised you? And if so, how did they affect your understanding of the story?
I mean, again, this is I'm retreading all the ground. I remember the majority of the plot. Um, I guess probably when I was reading it, finding out that suddenly it's gene stealers having because I wouldn't know what gene stealers was at that time really. Would
Yeah.
have been like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Again, Mitchell has that habit of like it's this, but no, it's actually this. So like if you've read 3 of his novels, it's like, I'm looking for the twist now. That's part of the issue of that, of like, I know there's a twist, so I'm just waiting for it. I was like, "You're presenting me this problem first." Yeah, but it's not the problem. I'm waiting for the actual problem to show up. So retreading the old ground? No, there's not a twist. I remember the majority of it. Just
Yeah.
like I remember the majority of KPIs.
Yeah. So unfortunately, even when this book first came out, oh, so long ago, and I don't quote me on it, but I want to say 2003 is when this one came out. I knew what the plot was in advance. It didn't surprise me in the least that there was a gene stealer cult active on Gavarax. Even so, it was an engaging book, and those who aren't more versed in 40K lore could have been tricked into thinking it was something else, and I believe that's the point. But unfortunately, at that point in my life, I knew quite a bit about 40K lore, and it wasn't a twist.
Well, it's the wasn't there.
Okay. Good to see that, my memory isn't that cloudy. Leonodas.
Let's see. Plot twist I didn't see coming. The governor being the one who actually shot him, that I didn't see. The Tyranids I kind of guessed at, and sociopath sniper guy not just going off and being stupid. That kind of surprised me.
Hmm.
Me actually liking that character surprised me because
Yeah,
usually I
no,
don't like that kind of person.
you
but
really
he's
are
just like,
not the sort of person that likes those kind of
no,
characters.
but he was just a solid dude the whole time, except he stabbed one dude in the neck. And I was like, what'd that guy do? 'Cause clearly, the guy that got stabbed in the neck deserved it, because otherwise, this character makes no sense to
Yeah.
me.
He was asking for it. Must have been.
Must have been, because like he does nothing else wrong. They're just like he comes off as shady one time. Like, what keeps us from running away? He's like, well, no, we'll kill you.
It definitely does
But-
kind of feel like this is the grimdark character, and everybody's like, "I've got a weird vibe about you," and I think it's because you're too grimdark for us.
Yeah, no, plus, it could a lot to be said of is like with that sniper character in particular, even during the trial, in the brief things that they covered during the trial, he was just like stone cold, like absolutely no f's given. Not entirely sure what his vibe is like he didn't even defend himself. He's just like, what did this guy do to deserve to get stabbed in the throat?
The defense was like, "I didn't see a reason not to stab him in the throat." It's like, "That's a wild defense." See, I think I'm just done for today. That's really what it was. I didn't wanna go off and deal with more Tyranids, really. I just got PTSD.
Go thunk it, right? Chamlin? Did we already do your bit? Yes, we did. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little hazy here. Leonodas, did you find the author's writing style engaging? Why or why not?
Oh, yeah, definitely engaging. Again, he does a good job with characters. That's if you're not gonna do action stuff, then you gotta do characters well, and the character interactions were all really good. They all felt natural, and every person was a person. They weren't just generic grunt number 4. The most generic people were the Suicide Squad people, and each of them still had enough personality to get by.
Yeah. Chamlin?
Yeah, spoken more than enough on it.
Yeah, I'll say as I do for almost every type of thing that like, what are the pros I look for? I like simple and clean. The fact that, he made
I
it
too like that song.
the fact that he also made it plucky and full of humor, golden. One would think this wouldn't be possible, but he did pull it off. Because of this story, it has made all future 40K novels more engaging, especially like back in the day when I was very young and very impressionable. And, I read Sandy Mitchell's work and I'm like, wow, okay, this is where we're at. Let's see where it goes from here. And unfortunately, it didn't get better, but it didn't get too worse either. I don't know. I've found some novels I did not jive with, and there have been several, at least one so far in our book club where that's like, I did not like this book. Yeah. Uh, what really kills me is that, like, I'm hearing so many different spectrums of thought and opinion in regards to the Wolf Time. Because, like, on your end, you're saying is like from what I'm seeing online, a lot of people did not like this novel. And then, like, on the other flip side of that coin, I'm hearing a lot of praise about it. And I'm thinking to myself, is like, how could you like that book? Why would you
If
like
you
that
don't
book?
like Space Wolves, you have a good chance of liking that book.
I mean, yeah,
I
no.
think it's a boring book, but I don't think it's a bad.
Well, it just goes to show that preference is key, as it is in all things. Because there's just so many different opinions out there about that book, as an example, that just night and day. Regardless, Chamlin, what did we learn from this book that we didn't know before? And let's be fair. Let's go back to the first time you read it.
Let's okay, yeah. Let's assume that you're pretty baseline. Maybe you've read Eisenhorn. Let's say you're coming off of a 40K RPG. That because it doesn't give you a lot of baseline stuff either.
Mhm.
Maybe you've read Eisenhorn. Because like that's usually a gateway book for if you're playing role playing games. You know that commissars aren't always going to shoot you, although you learn quickly that every book about a commissar they're not going to shoot you. So
The exception,
it's a
not the rule.
frustrating part. That's frustrating.
Yeah,
But inquisitors are around basically every corner, even if you don't think that they are. They are
and they're usually the rogue trader.
not usually because we know that you don't get to have a ship in a rosette if you
Mhm.
know a lot about inquisitors. Um, because that's a lot of power.
Yeah,
But gene stealers, you learn a bit more about them than you probably would without personally going out and looking at codexes. Because there wasn't a lot about gene stealers back then that was heavily seen.
yeah. They didn't really go into too much detail back then, outside of like what's that board game called?
Space Hulk?
Space Hulk, thank you. Because then you'll learn is like, wow, they tear through Terminator armor. Good to know.
Yeah. um, well, that's the pure blood, but also like you actually learn a bit about the Tau, which there's a scattering of information on the Tau. There's only like
There's not a lot.
six I think, novels that focus on the Tau.
There's a fella that's doing um
Was a fire
Farsight, yeah, like
is it Farsight Omnibus? Actually, I think there might be two Farsight
it's
Omnibus.
either well, I mean, is that where we're at? Because I thought he only did like 3 novels of
He
Farsight
did
at this
three,
point.
but there's been more books, so I think there's enough for a second collection.
Mm.
I think it's like 6 or 7 that are Tau focused. that are like purely Tau focused, that
Yeah.
aren't just codexes. You don't see the Tau a lot, which for better or worse, there are people who don't like the Tau for a multitude of fair reasons.
Yeah.
They're this weird addition. They're heavily Asian coded, which
I it boils down to the same thing it is as far as I can see online. A lot of people just don't like that, they're they're too hopeful and
well,
naive in a grimdark
they're
setting.
the brush with mecha, and not everybody's into mecha. They're just not. Mecha, as in giant robots, not the religious side. Let's make that clear from pronunciation.
Yeah, giant fighting robot or mech.
There's nothing wrong with them being Asian coded, except that 40K has the habit of being like, I don't know if you're writing this technically respectively or respectfully, but
I
I'm
mean,
not
they're
gonna get into that.
to be fair, they in the past have been pretty good about, retconning things out that they thought were at the time okay, but are now
Well, I
not.
mean that's true, but also you got space Force. I mean, come on, how respectful is that?
I mean, you get what you pay for with the Space Wolves. I think that's more of a gross oversimplification, if for no other reason that most subcultures within, say, for example, American culture are from Scandinavia or some German like region in terms of just ethnic bloodlines, anyway. So I don't really know if that really, I mean, I'm sure it offends some Scandinavians, and I'm sorry for that, obviously, but I don't know that that's not a good apt example. I don't think.
I mean, it's my example. You don't have to agree with it. Um, I just mean in general. You don't see a lot of the Tau, so it's nice to see the Tau then being like, right, but we're helping them, and we want this world, so you can leave. Right, we don't have to get into a fight over it. We don't. You can just go. We'll let you leave. And the Imperium's just like,
No, we'll let you leave.
It's like I don't think you quite realize.
And you're like, fine, this ain't worth it regardless, but you'll actually do it because you're stupid.
yeah, you're stupid enough to handle this.
Yeah,
The Tau being the reasonable ones of being like, this is not worth the amount of effort.
We'll wait till they get bored in 100 years.
I don't know if they'll last that long.
They're optimistic.
This was
As
written.
stated.
Well, I mean, like, I'm talking modern 40K. Obviously, we knew that this was written in like the 700s or something
No, it
like that.
wasn't.
I thought that is when Ciaphis
Kane literally retires in the 990s.
right, but most of these novels are,
No, Abnett writes in the 600s. This is set in not the 850s. It's in the early 900s, if I recall correctly. No, because Kane's like 2 centuries when he retires. So it's set in the late early 800s, if I remember it, or early 700s.
yeah, there's no sign here.
Fact check on here.
Okay, so the earliest Ciaphis Cain novels are set around 919 and 41. Yeah,
Kane's already old when the novels are
yeah. So presumably he does in
because
fact go through to like,
it's the first Tyrannic War. He's already in.
yeah.
That's late.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why I was thinking it was like late
Because Abnett
700s.
writes in the 700s, and
Fair enough. Well, yeah,
God's Ghost is in the 600s.
yeah. Well, I mean, like, there's also the bit in this novel where they allude to the Sabbath Crusades.
Actually, wait, that's not true. God's Ghost is earlier than the 600s because Eisenhower's in the 600s.
Yeah,
Eisenhower concludes.
fair enough. Hey, Leonodas,
Yeah.
did you learn anything from this book that you didn't know before?
I learned that the Imperium has people that will talk to aliens. They have diplomats to talk to the Xenos. I would not have figured that being a thing given their general nature of the Imperium towards.
Oddly enough, that's a job for the Adeptus Sororitas. They have diplomats to learn the language.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got linguistic and Xeno specialists that do nothing but talk to Xenos.
They do also have xenoarchaeologists and xenobiologists. That's not handling diplomacy's not handling their job.
Yeah.
It is a faction within the Adeptus Sororitas to learn the languages of aliens and to also, I think it's technically a sub faction of the Famulus to be diplomats.
Yeah. I mean, it is good to see it because, one does not think of, a diplomat when one thinks of the Imperium of Man. They do seem, at least from an outsider's view looking in.
I could see them do diplomats to, like, if they find some long lost human colony, that. But to Xenos, they're actually just like, well, just blow them up. But
Was it bedfellows of convenience at that point?
yeah.
It's like we want to kill every single one of you blue faced aliens, but we do not have the resources to. So we're going to bring you to the table and see what we can get out of it. Which, I mean, yeah, no, that's fair. Because, yeah, for the longest time prior to reading that, I'm like, wow, they're being diplomatic with the Tau. Why?
Because they have better guns than us.
Yeah,
To be fair, they're not orcs, and they're not the ones that are just gonna cut your face off for looking at you. So
I think,
I could see that being like the Eldar and Tau
They're
that
also
hunt
not
you.
as tricky as they are.
Yeah.
Just like these guys are actually pretty straight faced when you come down to it. And they were around in the Tyrannic War, so I guess we can probably talk to them.
yeah. So, like, when I first read this book so long ago, I think what I learned from it was that even commissars can be silly and self serving. Like, to that point, I did not think commissars were anything other than what I had seen up to that point, which largely was like Gaunt from Gaunt's Ghosts novels and maybe the sprinkling of a commissar in some pulp fiction based, novel written by probably Guy Haley or no, Gav Thorpe. Yeah. Um so up to that point, that always came across as grim and absolute, so it was very entertaining, at least for me, to get that experience. Now, Chamlin, given 40K has an extensive RPG collection, what would you pull from this novel for a game?
Now, of course, you think this is an only war game. It's not. Because dealing with Kane, if you're a player in a role playing game, would be frustrating beyond all reason. Because he'd just be a character where you're like, you're just going to drag me into nonsense. What this is a Dark Heresy story
Mm,
that happens to have a commissar in it.
from Only War.
I mean, let's not talk about the cross pollination and lack thereof between the 40K RPG alliance, because there isn't. They lie to you.
Mm,
Um,
what's
but
that?
this is a Dark Heresy story. What, you want another 3-hour rant?
No, he's like, what's that? Games Workshop Lies?
It's not even Games Workshop.
Yeah, Fantasy Flights at that time, all right?
It wasn't Fantasy Flight that started that rumor. It was like
We're moving on.
anyways, this is a Dark Heresy story that a commissar shows up in and has that talent that he has a squad of people around them.
Yeah.
Because that's what Kane is. You could easily grab this concept of like, well, yeah, you got sent to this world because the Tau infiltrate is a strong word, but the Tau have integrated themselves into society and you need to unintegrate them.
Yeah.
And then there's always the plot of suddenly gene stealers
Yeah.
because they're everywhere.
They are everywhere.
Um, Other than anything specific, you could grab stuff from this for and only war game, largely the stuff on the ship as they get to the war zone.
Yeah.
This idea of like, well, yeah, but the regiment has to like come to terms with itself before anything can really get done. You have a lot of interplay with that kind of stuff. But yeah,
If I was doing like a role playing game off of this,
Yeah, no, given that 40K does have an extensive RPG collection, what would you pull from this novel for a game?
um, I guess the if I was doing the game, I probably would have done the investigation that went bad. So when they're going, they find out there's a cult down there. They can't quite prove it yet. They know that something's going down, and then everything goes to crap, and Kane sets the room on fire. Whatever's going on between that and there,
Yeah.
because you don't get a lot of that, but there's a lot of stuff to work with in such a thing.
Yeah. So I do think the system would be only war. And obviously, I would pull the inquisitorial mission angle that was featured in this story. Go figure. Great minds. Use a group I'm just messing with you, Chamlin. Use a group of shitty guardsmen to complete a suicide mission or something like that. That is like what I would pull from that. Is like, what's that? Guardsmen, only war, shitty suicide mission? Let's go.
I probably would do Dark Heresy for the investigation. Only War. If I was doing Only War, I would do the Guardsmen versus the PMCs.
great minds, huh?
I think we're just good points on both sides.
I
The
still can convince
investigation
him.
was better for maybe second edition Dark Heresy. That way you could make Kane properly. And then for if you want to do Only War, you would do whenever they're fighting against the insurgents.
Hmm.
Because that'd be pretty interesting for them. I guess you'd hang out with Sula, but whatever.
Yeah. So more so, just so we're clear, the angle and what you would use from the novel, not the system itself. But okay.
I mean, it's fine.
Well, if he's a mechanics guy, he's going to talk mechanically.
Okay.
I was just saying,
Sure, bud.
if you're going to I'm going to make one more for each thing. But if I'm doing investigation, Dark Heresy is better for it.
Leonodas,
Yes.
what scene would you like to see animated from this novel?
Durgan kill this man.
That
Amazing gif.
Hey, You'll get your turn.
I just feel like I knew what he was gonna say.
That would be nice. Maybe the whole fight with the gene stealer
The
hive
Magus.
lord thing, that was pretty interesting. That or the scene where he, clears up the fight in the barrack, the
Like,
mess hall,
yeah, the mess
'cause
hall.
it's just it's so silly.
Yeah. Uh, so I'll go ahead and do mine next just because he already said it. The commissary brawl, mop bucket included.
No, yeah, it has to be that one.
Yeah. Hey, you, get a bucket.
Buckets for everybody.
Yeah. Chamlin?
Any Okay, so you would have to do it a particular kind of way, but basically it'd be the trial. But you'd have to have like flash cuts of every moment where Kane's like, "This is why I did like Phoenix Wright or something." Phoenix Wright, but the trial with Commissar Kane,
Where's that crossover?
right?
Objection.
Objection.
Uh,
But if I could get a gif of Jurgen kill this man,
Wow, what a terrible way to
such a
die.
great gif. Can you imagine that? Just on repeat. Jurgen kill this man. Jurgen
6 more times.
never gets old.
uh,
All right, Chamlin. What would you add or remove from the book if given the option?
Probably a little bit more with the towel before things really kick off.
Mm,
Kane get like if there was like another scene with the crew, that'd probably be pretty solid. It does kind of there's a bit of the tunnel stuff you could take out and it just like them navigating.
yeah.
It's important for it to be there, but like you could
Mhm. Leonodas?
this is I would like to see more Kroot, because again, the one Kroot's fun. And then, or they basically my issue is like the Kroot show up, they get mad once and kick everything off the crap. It's like if they were cool for a little bit longer, it'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then yeah, take out would be just less tunnel time.
Yeah.
Not again, it's not that I hate it, but if you're gonna take something out, that's the least
that's the
strong
easiest
part of
thing
it.
to remove without
Yeah,
affecting us.
You know, for me, the pacing was good and everything was designed to put the story together in such an apt way that it is very hard for me to like figure out, pick and choosing, what gets added, what gets taken out. I think starting with what got taken out, maybe, less of the tunnels because there was a lot of that. And this, I understand for character growth and remuneration, having like this guy have like a panic attack on page and him having enough balls to admit that he was terrified.
yeah.
And I love that because like it humanizes Kane and that needs to stay. But like the excessive like navigation bit, yeah, I agree.
There's nothing to there's material in the tunnels.
I
There's navigation material where it's just like, okay, yeah, we know it's dank and dark and hard to figure out.
As for adding stuff, I mean, they did a really good job of like portraying both the Imperium and the Tau and imperial politicking at the ballroom scene. So like they covered all the bases there. So like you got a good grasp of what was going on. Like Kane was plucky and humorful, so like you never got bored. I don't know. I'm having a hard time adding things. Like I can't put my finger on what would have improved this novel that wasn't already in it. I don't know, maybe some more attention towards the Colonel and her inner thinking. Maybe have like an aside with somebody, chronicalizing her and like what was going on and what she ends up doing, like they did with Sula, because let's be honest, Sula was boring as hell.
So Luke gets a lot of time, and the Colonel she gets more than the Colonel, which is kind of unfair.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah, that's all I got. So, as we're approaching wrap up, I ask genuinely, and we'll start with you, Leonotis. Is there anything that you would like to add to this podcast about this book, or anything in particular that struck your fancy as we were going through it?
Um, this is might be a little off base, but if you like this, there's an anime called The Irresponsible Captain Taylor that is probably up your alley.
Mm,
It's another character who he basically joins the military to just kind of have an easy life, and then war were declared, and he keeps failing upwards in a similar kind of way.
yeah,
It's a parody of like space opera, like old, especially old space opera, like Yamamoto kind of stuff.
yeah.
Um, it has vibes kind of like that.
Hmm.
As far as directly to the book, I kind of feel like we've gone over a lot of things that I wanted to say already on that.
Okay. Yeah, you have any, shout outs or anything specific outside of, what you just did with the anime?
That's the one that came out that I most thought about when I was listening to it. Um, so yeah, I can't think of anything else in that regard.
That's fine. That's fine. Chamlin?
All right. So you remember in the last podcast where I was like, Guy Haley could probably write, or is it Gav Thorpe?
Thorpe wrote The Wolf Time.
Okay. You know how Gav Thorpe wrote some pretty serious BDSM in the book?
Mhm.
Okay, so Jurgen's reading porno slates, which you
Mhm.
hardly ever hear that much about anymore
Yeah.
because Jurgen reads them and Ravenor is untouchable that eventually gets touchable. Falco gets overwhelmed.
Yeah, no,
No
it's just
longer
like, oh,
untouchable.
where are we going with this word?
But he reads porno slates too.
Yeah.
So when I was talking about Warhammer Romance, I mean, come on. They
Oh,
have
yeah.
porno slates in universe. Games
Yeah.
Workshop. Get on it. Also, give me the tarot game rules.
Yeah.
And the displacer fields are so much cooler in fiction than they are in RPGs
They're goofing
because they
really hard.
forcibly teleport you. Why am I not using a displacer field and having to roll a scatter die to see where I get teleported?
Yeah.
That never comes up. They're just like, oh, they're just force fields, but they're worse. It's like, no, they move you. I forgot that they move you forcibly. Why am I not rolling a scatter die when I use a displacer field?
I mean, that could be a custom rule we could do if we ever use a displacer
I'm
field.
gonna have to because like that's so much. It's 1,000% cooler.
I like it too. It's completely random. It's chaos. It's just like great. Yeah. It's like you are now up this can.
Also, Fubar survived 40,000 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good term.
Yeah. No, it's a solid term.
It's a solid term.
Listen, the common soldier is most likely going to be the guy that's going to carry over, derogative stuff like the whole FU and, the bird originates from like English longbowmen from like the Agincourt.
I know I picked up Emperor's Mummified Balls from a book. I can't remember what book, but I know I read it somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so good that I can't not use it.
When it comes to, colloquial terms, slang for derogative or vulgarity, you can be relied upon that they will carry over to the future.
I was just funny.
I don't like FU will never die.
Like, oh, they use Fubar too. That's fine.
Yeah.
But also, seriously, Warhammer Romance, porno slates. Come on, Games Workshop. Give it a chance.
Yeah.
Just give it a chance.
Just give it a chance, guys. I also agree with Chamlin. Give it a chance.
Fairly niche audience, but
No, I did.
Entertain me.
It's a bunch of teenagers. They're horny as shit.
Most of the people that read 40K novels are actually in our age category now. Demographically speaking.
I think getting new people, huh?
I mean, you know what could do that?
The percentages. Yeah.
Porno slates.
The percentage is not as high.
Official porno slates.
Yeah. Tasteful. I mean, if you want that, go with Major Kill. That's not a sponsor. I'm just saying he does tasteful pornography with 40K motif.
Let's see, you've done an extensive investment.
No, he used to do announcements and such in his videos in the beginning. And there was a couple years back, he did an entire calendar with nudies set with 40K motif, and they were all tasteful. But then again, I only saw the censored version because I'm not going to shell out, what was it like? Yeah,
both Leonodas and I and each other obey. Sure.
Even if I did, don't kink shame me, bro.
I think you should own up to it.
I didn't do it.
To look at it.
I am aware of it. I never purchased it. And again, we're not sponsored by Major Kill. And shout out to Major Kill. I like your work. I think you're funny. Yeah, sure.
Nothing wrong with it.
I mean,
Games Workshop.
I'm trying to remember. He's done more than one calendar, and he had a story where he was telling about the first one where he actually got strippers to do it. And I was just like, wow, okay. Yeah, no, I get it. You won't find a professional model that'd be willing to go nude.
I'm just saying that Cain is literally an archetype for porn slates. He has a girl basically every novel, even if it's not Amber.
Okay.
Caves of Ice literally ends with him and Amber being like, let's go to a hotel. They're all pretty ruined right now.
Report to the ship will bang, okay? Yeah, that vibe. Way to spoil the ending. He's reading Caves.
Amberly and Cain bang. It's a second novel. We were just talking about.
Nani o desu ka?
We were just talking about how it's important for 2 novels and they need to pay this off.
In
Let's go.
fairness, she knows that he has bad dreams because he is woken up in the middle of the night from nightmares when she's sleeping with him.
Yeah.
So unless they're just happily sleeping in the same bed at night,
I mean, you know what? Again,
perfectly normal thing.
no shame.
There's no
Sometimes
way
you
Am-
just need a cuddle buddy, right?
Hey, look, Amberly
Yeah.
definitely bad.
Yeah.
That woman doesn't.
Okay,
She
so
has Cain's chicken way too hard to not be right.
yeah. Any final words, Chamlan?
Games Workshop, I'm never going to forgive you if you don't give me the third Sandy Mitchell Dark Heresy novel. I mean, I'm already not going to forgive you for a lot of other stuff.
Mhm.
That's just on the top.
Final words, Leonodas?
This is a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it. The book was a good read.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, that's all the time we have today, guys. Leonidas, excuse me. Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate you being here and taking the time to not only pull away from your schedule to read a book, but also, come out here and give us your thoughts and opinions on it. We've always enjoyed your company and we'd love to have you again in the future. Maybe another Ciaphis Cain novel.
Probably another Ciaphis Cain novel.
I mean, let's see where the winds take him in the foreseeable months in the future. It'll be before we get him again. Because, what is it? Next up on our docket is going to be Throne of Light by Guy Haley in the Dawn of Fire series. We're going to do that for, 3, 4 novels? And then, yeah, so on that fourth one after Throne of Light, we are going to be having another one of our good friends and pals come on the podcast. But more on that in the future. If you like what we do, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell button or following us if it's on Spotify. And hey, your boy's got a Discord server free for all. Links in the description below. Thanks for your time. Thank you for your effort. And we'll see you all in the next one. Bye.